What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. After Sound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here on this channel as well as on Twitch, so make sure you come by and say hello. This video is also brought to you by my music, which is available anywhere you stream music under the name After Sound, and I do have a new song out recently called Dreamin', so check it out. Let me know what you think, and I appreciate the support. Okay, guys, let's get into the 5 biggest takeaways from the most recent town hall, which was for March 20th, 2025. Now, as you can see here, I only have 4 items, but that's really because I just consolidated things. The monthly town halls tend to have a bunch of things, right? A bunch of different topics and whatever that the team goes into. And, you know, this was another fantastic town hall similar to February. There was a lot to cover here. And so I just consolidated it down. I didn't feel like making a 5th bullet point just because the main things we're going to talk about is what's upcoming. Then we'll do a little bit of focus on land. We'll do a little focus on Conclave Arcana. And then we'll talk about just, we'll close out with some other games that are shutting down and what Matt had to say about that. So let's go ahead and dive right in. First things first, what is upcoming within the next 2 months? Now, I had completely forgotten about the campaign mode and foundation set. I was really just focused on Conclave Arcana. And the mobile app, we hadn't really been given a time for that. I mean, it was Q1, but obviously we're coming up to the end of Q1 here, so it is what it is. So the way that the team is kind of phrasing this out, the next 2 months, I would actually put, even though we're only like mid-March, I would put this out until the end of May, right? So that gives us maybe like 2.5 months. And then kind of June, which is still technically Q2, I wouldn't be surprised if we even see some of this stuff kind of filter into June. But that being said, and I'll probably end up doing a video where I focus more on like the timeline once I can actually see the different release or maintenance windows that they have. When it comes to Conclave Arcana, that is obviously the big flagship here. A lot of this stuff needs to be done either before or at the same time as Conclave Arcana. And one thing I didn't include here is marketing. Actually, that probably could have been the 5th bullet point, right? Although the quick update on that is that they're going to start marketing probably in May once Conclave Arcana is actually out. And according to Blaze, they have a ton of like podcasts, Twitter Spaces, different kind of interviews, things like that they're focused on doing just to really get the word out. But that'll be one aspect around Conclave Arcana. And if we look at April as the pre-sale month, and again, I don't know if that's going to be on April 1st, April 15th, sometime in between, or later on in the month. That would mean a 30-day or a 1-month pre-sale. It would mean that we would get Conclave Arcana in May, which is kind of what they've said already. They haven't confirmed a date, but like I said, those are the things there. So where campaign mode and the foundation set, for those that aren't familiar with this, the foundation set is going to be this soulbound set of cards that people can come in and play for 100% for free. They're not going to be great cards, but at least you can come in and start playing with them from the get-go, right? But they won't really be competitive against a lot of the other cards out there. My guess is that we're going to have campaign mode and foundation set before the launch of Conclave Arcana. Now, that could come in between the pre-sale and the launch of Conclave Arcana, and my guess is that we could see the pre-sale as early as like early April, we'll call it. And here's the thing: in the past, they've done it where it's just like it's a 1-month pre-sale, but actually the pre-sale lasts for a month, but then the game or the actual set doesn't come out right on day number 30 or 31. It'll come out maybe a week or 2 after that. So, in the most bullish, actually that's not even, in the most rushed scenario, I could see the presale actually beginning April 1st. That would be the next window, right? The next maintenance window around that time frame. And then it lasting the entire month of April, and the set actually coming out mid-May. And in between that time, you have 6 weeks, right, and a couple of other maintenance windows where campaign mode and the foundation set could come in. Again, I haven't really looked at all the dates, and I'll do that in a separate video. But that's my expectation, is that we could probably see something like that happen. The mobile app, on the other hand, I think is not really directly tied into this. The mobile app is just kind of wrapping up the website, and they talked a little bit about that. Some cool thing about the mobile app is that it's going to have keychain built into it, so you won't need to like go through and confirm every single thing that you're doing. It'll all just kind of natively be built into the app as long as you're logged in and you have your keys and everything set up. So that's going to be pretty cool. But those are the 4 things, we can include marketing. Those are the 5 things to expect over the next 2 months. Maybe we'll call it like 2.5 months, and then we'll see what's there June and beyond. Getting into number 2, let's talk land. So obviously 1.75 came out. There is a lot of discussion about everything that's going on. People are not sure how to tackle things, myself included. Matt included. He even said he's still trying to figure out how all this stuff is going. But the focus now is to get some quality of life updates for land and then really start figuring out what comes next. So one of the things that he mentioned was a change to the way harvests work. It doesn't make sense from a logical perspective that you cannot harvest simply because you don't have the resources or something like that, right? And so I mean, I understand where he's coming from, but they want to do it in a way where in order to build something, just a logical way to do it, you would need the resources before you go ahead and do that. So there will be a potential harvest change coming up. Again, I don't know how quickly or how long that's going to take, but that is one of the main things that they mentioned. In terms of what the future is, the priority is to get in-game utility for research, and probably the resources as well, right? A lot of the new resources. Now, they mentioned a couple of things, including unbounding gladiators. Again, that's not confirmed yet. The team was just kind of talking about it. They want to bring it to the community. And then also there's going to be some land-related things related to Conclave Arcana. What they did not mention was conflict wagons, although they did talk about that early on, but they did not bring that up this time around. And maybe it's because they were just excited about something new, which is the new foils. And we'll get more into that in Conclave Arcana. But there's going to be some new foils, and land is going to be somewhat related to that. The other thing that they did not discuss, but we've kind of heard in the past, is the survival mode cooldown potions, right? Or revival potions. Now, they did not mention that. Again, I think there was just a lot going on, and it probably wasn't on Matt's list, and nobody asked the question directly. But at the same time, I think that revival potions probably wouldn't have as big of a marketplace. That being said, that doesn't mean that they're not working on it. And Matt did talk about, whatever it ends up being, he wants it to create a situation where we can just have this sprawling third person economy or third player market. Third party market is what I meant to say. And, players will just be creating stuff with land resources and with research and all of that. So I'm excited about that. I mean, this is exactly what we wanted to see from land. I wanted to see direct utility right away in game or game adjacent, right? It didn't need to be, and this is the important part, it doesn't need to be items and spells, because that's still a long way out. But if we can start to get other things within the ecosystem that require stuff from land, that's going to force people to actually use their land. It's going to incentivize them, not force them. It's going to incentivize them to actually utilize their land and try to fill those gaps. The last thing for land is just they'd mentioned removing the cooldown for Rooney, which is going to be just like another benefit that's given to Rooney. But if you have one, that's fantastic. I put mine on land like when 1.5 came out. I've never taken them off, but I miss playing with it, so I may just take it off and see what happens. All right, number 3, let's jump into Conclave Arcana. Now, I did a video already talking about this a little bit more in depth and with the example of the summoner that they released, but racial synergy is going to be the main focus for this set. Now, what I mean by that, for those of you who have not seen the other video, is there was a summoner that was shown. The stats for the summoner was a fire element, the rare, fire element dwarf summoner, and one of the abilities that it has is to call in dwarves from any other element. Doesn't matter, right? So when we looked at the example in that video, there were dwarves that were part of the fire element. You can naturally pull in all fire units anyway, and then there were dwarves that were also part of the kind of neutral element, and you could pull those in as well. But we saw several dwarves that were in the life element, and my guess is that when we go into Conclave Arcana, there's going to be dwarves in probably some of the other elements as well. So when you go in and play this racial synergy, or they call it racial dominion, you're able to play this summoner and pulling cards from like multiple different elements. And we've had kind of dual element summoners in the past, so that's cool. But now this is going to have the kind of racial component to it, or species component to it, where you can come in and it's a fire element specific, but you can actually start pulling in from other areas, right? Which is actually kind of cool. Now, I don't know if that's going to be the case if, for example, let's say it's a fire only rule set, and I don't think they answered this, but let's say it's a fire only rule set. Can you pull in like a life one? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not, but my guess would be not. But it'd be kind of cool if you could, right? That would add way more utility to this racial dominion stuff, or racial synergy. So that's going to be the main feature, it seems like, for Conclave Arcana, and it's exciting. It adds a level of depth and complexity to the game, and that combined with tactics and dual element from Rebellion should make for a pretty interesting modern format. So I'm looking forward to that. Now, the other parts for Conclave Arcana, and let me kind of like wrap this up on a high level. As Dave McCoy said this several times, it's going to be very friendly for collectors, right? It's going to be very heavily focused on collectors that like to come in and have one-of-ones. I don't know if it's actually a one-on-one, but just like very rare cards. So the big reveal is that, well, I guess they're both kind of big reveals, is that you have regular foil and gold foil, but they are going to add in new foils. Now, a piece of that, as I was alluding to earlier, is going to be land related. So I don't know if you're going to need research. I don't know if you're going to need resources. My guess, and I have no idea, right? This is me literally just speculating off the top of my head at this moment. My guess is that in the same way that you have alchemists or alchemy potions where you can, increase the chances of getting a certain foil, my guess is that there will be other potions, like let's say there's a diamond potion for a diamond foil, right? And at that point, you get, like, let's say right now gold foil is automatically, I think, like 2%, and then if you use an alchemy potion, you double that to 4%. Well, maybe with, the natural whatever, or the standard is 0% for like a diamond foil. And then if you use a diamond potion on it, you can increase that to 2%, right? So you actually then create a chance of getting these diamond foil cards. Now, again, I don't know if diamond is the actual thing. That's just the example that I'm using, but it would make sense just because the team has talked about doing revival potions for land. So being able to create these potions with all the different things, right, with land, whether it's revival, whether it's these new foil, that kind of makes sense. And I would actually be very curious to see how all that stuff plays out, because I do think, unlike revival potions, which I think might be a little bit of a dud, but we'll see, I do think that people would want to chase some of these higher end things. And if these potions are purely created off of land, you can't buy them from the team, and they don't burn DEC directly, right? It's something that players who own assets in the game are able to go out and create and then sell on the marketplace. That is going to be awesome. So again, that's speculation, but if that's how they do it, that'd be fantastic. And then kind of related to that, or at least related to the whole like collector thing, mint numbers are going to be available on certain cards. Now, they really kind of teased that. They did not say anything else about it, but that is something for people who care about mint numbers. And I think we did see a lot of that with the Heloise promo card. I think that's going to be something that could be really fun. All right, final thing. And we'll just close out with this. And Matt actually started the town hall talking about some other projects. Sorry, excuse me. He had talked about some other projects that had been shutting down recently. And we've seen, like, this kind of time in the market has not been great, especially for a lot of the other projects that I follow here on this channel, even though I'm not actively making content. But like, it's just, the market is down, even though with Bitcoin at like 80 something thousand, right? The rest of the market is down. Tokens are not doing well. Projects are shutting down. Other games are shutting down. And I think this just goes to show how awesome Splinterlands is. Now, again, Splinterlands has had its own issues. They've gone through 2 rounds of layoffs in the 3 years that I've been here, and it has not been an easy road. But, one thing that Matt kept kind of emphasizing is the fact that they never took VC money. There was never like this exit from like, or exit kind of forced upon them, and there was never this pressure. At the end of the day, the way Matt looks at it, and I'm sure the way Cryptomancer and many other people on the team, they're going to find a way to make it happen. And I do believe for the last like 18 months, they probably have been focused on that ever since Matt came on board. And we know that they probably even had to let some people go in the meantime. So, I don't know, just shout out to the Splinterlands team. Again, I know you're going to look at me as somebody who's biased because I'm technically a team member, right? I haven't done any work for the team, just to be very clear. I haven't done any work for the team in over a year at this point. It's been a very long time. Obviously, I have a lot of people that I got to meet at Splinterfest. I know a lot of folks on the team. I have the utmost respect for them and the way that they just operate. These people really do love the game and really do love the project and want to see it succeed. And if anything, right? I'm not talking about my bags. I'm not talking about my collection. I'm not talking about my own enjoyment. If anything, I just want to see them succeed because I'm cheering for them. So shout out to the team. Shout out to, just the work ethic and the effort that they've put into it. And I think it just goes to show, right? Like and when I say we, I'm talking about the team. I'm talking about the community, the DAO, right? Just this whole collective are coming together to really build something special here. And that's probably one of the biggest reasons I've stayed. Yeah, okay, you're going to point to other things like I'm down, or I'm trying to make back my investment, or I'm trying to get rich right in the next crypto bull run. Yeah, sure, all that stuff plays into it. But I have personal relationships with a lot of these folks now. I know them, and I'm cheering for them, and I want to see them succeed. And not just that, it's not just the people on the team. Clay, shout out to Clay within the DAO. Shout out to the community members that are really carrying things, right? DJ, Gold Matters. I know I'm going to, Bulldog. Like, I'm going to end up offending people that I don't include. So I'm just going to go off the top of my head and I apologize for people that weren't included on there. My whole point is that everybody's playing a role in this, and I think it's just important to recognize that the effort from the team, the effort from the DAO, the effort from the community, and I think that this is exciting times. I really, really do. And this is not financial advice. I'm not saying buy in and go crazy, whether it's cards, whether it's SPS, whatever. I think it's just exciting times because the team is now finally able to deliver awesome experience after awesome experience. And maybe you don't like the experiences, right? Maybe you look at survival mode and you're like, okay, that's not for me. Or maybe you look at land, you're like, it's not for me. Well, guess what? This thing is not supposed to be a one-size-fits-all. There are many different elements within Splinterlands and the Splinterlands ecosystem that get people excited. Whether you are, land, resource management with land, whether you're an auto battler, TCG with the game, whether you like the survival mode aspect, whether you like the esports aspect and element of like doing tournaments or building out community with your guilds, or just playing the market, right? All of this stuff, or being a collector, as Dave McCoy called out. So there's so many different ways in which people can interface with this. I think that's awesome, and I think it's great that the team is now in a position. And shout out to Matt now, where and shout out to him and Dave McCoy, where Dave McCoy's coming in and taking off his plate a lot of the things that were not, things that he wasn't necessarily excited about, but now he can go in and focus on like what is the broader vision for Splinterlands and really build out a product that has all these different legs to it that people can kind of sink their teeth into. So that's all I have for you guys in this video. Great town hall. Obviously, it wasn't like February, but I think it's still just as exciting, and I'm very much looking forward to the next 2 months. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. That is all I have for you guys in this video. I'll catch you all in the next one and see you around the game. Take care.